Okay, so tell me something. Are you longing to own your own home, but you just can't say how it's ever going to happen? That's the feeling of a whole lot of Jamaicans who are trying to own their own little piece of the rock, or maybe, I don't know, their own little piece of the air if we're talking about apartments. And that's our focus on this edition of All Angles. I'm Dion Jackson Miller. Now, we're going to be hearing from young people. We're going to be hearing from realtors. We're going to be hearing from government agencies that are supposed to help to solve the housing crisis. But first, let's go to this report from Giovanni Dennis.
Roughly 10,000 students graduate from Jamaica's top 4 universities annually. The majority of graduates are young professionals like Lauren, who after finding a job, aspire to buy into one of the many apartment complexes now being built in Kingston.
There has been some in the Waterloo area that I've seen that's pretty decent. You know, they're pretty.
Pretty on the eyes, but also pretty costly. The average price of a 2-bedroom apartment jumped from $28 million 3 years ago to over $40 million today on average. So I'm currently standing at 7 Devon Road in Kingston, just across the road from where the Halo luxury apartments will be. Construction is still underway. It's the dream of many young professionals to be able to afford somewhere like this, but the cost is prohibitive. Prices at the Halo complex range from $40 million for a 1-bedroom to $50 million for a 2-bedroom apartment. Lauren had this to say.
Hearing the prices kind of deter you from wanting to try. When you compare your basic salary to what it would be to acquire a home, it's kind of a turn off, I would say.
Other young professionals feel the same way. I met Brianna and Michael at the Devon House, a stone's throw away from the Halo complex.
My salary isn't high enough to try and get a house anytime soon, even with a partner. It feels very difficult, as well as getting a mortgage. Like, just for something in the 30 mils, I'd be having to pay like $200K or more, depending on the deposit. And it feels impossible. That alone is more than my salary.
They mainly cater to persons who are of the higher echelon in terms of income, and they tend to buy these houses and then hold on to them. So the regular professional just coming in, they don't have the income to buy the house straight out. It causes a lot of people to feel like there's no chance of us in Jamaica as young professionals to earn enough to be able to own a home and escape renting.
The government has admitted that there is a housing crisis. A national housing needs assessment showed that Jamaica has to build 15,000 new units annually to keep up with demand from its growing population. But only about 11,000 new units are being built. The National Housing Trust, or NHT, which was established to make homeownership easier and more affordable, provides loans to first-time homeowners. $7.5 million Jamaican dollars is the maximum a single contributor can borrow from the trust, or up to $8.5 million if the unit is $12 million or less. The people we spoke with do not think that is enough.
Even after partnering with somebody, you'd have to take out an additional loan. And even after that, you'd have to go seek financial assistance somewhere else. Then I think there's more to be done and more can be done.
Realtor Winroy Williams says as long as the demand continues to outstrip supply, prices will continue to rise.
Demand is great, but to add to that, the cost of construction, the cost of labor, the cost of all the input into the final product. Now, is this justified? I'm not so sure if it's justified, but the fact is, prices are what they are.
Mr. Williams believes young professionals need to start approaching homeownership differently.
1, do what you can with what you have. If it means you had an idea to buy a 2-bedroom, 1 bath in Kingston, and based on the price, you cannot reach that price, one option, partner with somebody. That's one way. Another way, buy where the money affords you to buy.
In April 2024, the Prime Minister announced a revised First Step housing program to address the housing crisis. The National Housing Trust will be building 1-bedroom apartments in or near urban centers, especially as starter homes for young professionals. People like Lauren, Brianna, and Michael may finally be able to buy one of the 11,000 housing units coming onto the market every year. Giovanni Dennis for All Angles.
tell you, Mr. Williams says, what was he saying? Do what you can with what you have. I remember when I was house hunting, right? One realtor carried me go up on one cemetery. I am not lying. I'm not talking about one small cemetery I there. Sit down by your veranda and it's just rows and rows of graves. You know, I was getting poltergeist vibes. Next thing, Dopico carried me west, so I did not buy that house. Joining me in studio to talk about their journey. Has it ended yet? Has it not? Are they still on it? We have with us Chartered Accountant Travis Rowe. We also have with us Sunil Smith. She's a Program Manager and Business Development Officer. Joel McIntyre in studio with us. Great to have you all. Thank you so much. So let's see who has a house. One hand. Okay, well, let me ask you to start us off then, Travis. How difficult or not was it?
Well, it really was a mixed bag. Certain aspects were easier than I thought, and certain aspects were a bit torturous, to be honest.
What was easy?
So the easiest parts were actually interacting with the financial institution. I think a lot of young people have this fear or aversion towards going to financial institutions and reaching out. But even the process of getting a pre-approval was pretty quick. And I think it is the case with most financial institutions. And that's the first major hurdle that I encourage all people to overcome as quickly as possible.
So you're how old now?
I'm 25 currently.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, people, goals, housing goals here. Okay. What about you, Joel?
I'm still in the search. I think it's...
Stop before you go any further,
Sure.
because you're actually searching.
Yes.
Because some of the people I've been speaking to over the past couple of weeks say, look, they're so frustrated, they're so demoralized, and not even search.
I can say I'm still in the search. Search so far as to one time I thought going back to St. Elizabeth to buy a piece of land to develop on was the way to go. And I said, okay, no, there are no opportunities back there for jobs, so might as well try to find something here. And the search has been tedious. It's been difficult. I share the same sentiment with a lot of the graduates who say it's probably better to rent for a very long time and see if we can find something because the rent is overall cheaper for them.
Wow. What about you, Sonia?
Well, for me, there was a very short stint that I was actively searching. To be very
How short?
About a year.
Okay. Not too short.
I think for me, the process and the depth of my process involves speaking to a rep at, two banking institutions. I didn't speak to anyone from NHT, honestly. I had most of the money at the time, but then my priorities got rearranged and I stopped. But by and large, I think that owning a home, in some sense, is a little bit better than renting.
Yes.
Right? I have a friend who spoke to me while I was in my active searching, and she's saying, you know what, we would have to pay rent either way. And the money that you're paying for rent, it would have been nice if it had go towards you owning where you're living. So for me, it's been that sort of conversation and that sort of experience personally.
All right, when we come back after the break, I want to talk about some of what they've seen during their house hunting journey. But a couple of your comments, Dwayne on X says we need to change the culture. Parents need to encourage children to stay home. Build on parents' home where possible. Being independent is overrated and expensive. Best thing I've done as an adult is to live with my parents, save rent, save mortgage, save on bills. Then Mr. Boxfood says it's very hard, interest rates high, prices for the houses just as high. NHT needs to be more flexible in how they disperse loans. Stay tuned, we'll soon come.